Yeah, so this is the skirt that we are attempting. This is basically a lot of single plain patterns, okay, and they have been stitched together to make ruffles. Ruffle skirts is actually one of the easiest things to, you know, do, which looks complicated, but it is not, okay. So basically, if I click on single patterns, you will see what it is basically. So this is the waistband, then this is the bodice, the front bodice of the skirt, right? And then this is the back bodice of the skirt, this is the back waistband. And then what I did was I made bigger patterns like this. So I made one pattern and I stitched it from the skirt, this part, okay. So I made this pattern, I stitched it from this part, and then I made this pattern and I stitched it from this part again. When I open the sewing lines, you will see, okay. So this part is also, this small part is also stitched with one internal line. So I made internal lines. First I made a bodice pattern, then I made internal lines on it, okay. And then this internal line was stitched with the thin pattern as well, and the same internal line was stitched with the big pattern as well, right? And that's what was created here. So ये आपका छोटा वाला है and this is your bigger one, okay. And the same thing followed for the other patterns as well. So again I made another one, stitched it with the second internal line, then the same thing got stitched with this. Because they are two different sizes, it kind of looks like ruffles. Yeah, you can make single ruffles also. I just happened to make double ruffles. Yeah, and the same thing, I would recommend that first you make one single skirt, front, the waistband and the skirt, front side of the skirt, you do all the ruffles and everything, and then when you copy paste, you don't have to stitch anything. Everything will be stitched again, okay. Let me quickly give you a demonstration of how it's done. I'll open a new file. Let us import an avatar. I select polygon tool. This is not how the skirt pattern is made, but I'm making it here just to show you how ruffles are done. You can make a proper pattern with proper measurements and then you can work with the ruffles. For this purpose, I'm not sticking to measurements and all, I'm just sticking to a technique. Then after that, you go to internal line. First, I'll make an internal line for the waist belt. Right click on it. Edit pattern tool, right click on it and cut and sew. So waist belt is cut and stitched. Next, I'll make internal lines, 3 internal lines for the ruffles. I can either make it with hand like that, rough, or what I can do is I can select these two parts of it, distribute internal lines between segment, make 3 segments or 4. Yeah, so I'll make 3 segments for now. It will divide itself equally and then okay. Once this is done, I'll quickly make rectangle patterns. One pattern for the bigger ruffle and then one thinner pattern for the smaller ruffle. It is best practice in CLO to first do sewing and then copy it, so that you don't have to sew, or it just helps to copy paste things than to make fresh. Okay, so I'll just quickly do the sewing of this one to this part, and this one to this part. I hope I have not done the crisscross sewing. So for that, I'll just go here and verify. Yep, this looks correct, and even this looks correct. Yeah, so basically smaller one will go and stick on top, and the bigger one will kind of fall loose, right? So I'll just freeze the waistband, and I will freeze the skirt also to see how these ruffles are falling on it. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of working well. Yep. We'll work with the particle distance to make it look like a little better. Right now the particle distance is quite low. Okay, so this works for us. Now what I will do is, now when I select it and Control C, Control V, copy paste it, look what happens. I don't have to go ahead and use Gizmo to arrange it. It just comes here, right? Then I again copy paste it. It again comes somewhere here, right? So I do still have to use Gizmo tool, but not as extensively as I have to do when it is flat and plain, and it is placed randomly on the 3D window somewhere, right? So I can just go here quickly. While sewing will not be replicated, we'll have to still do sewing, but at least the pattern will be closer to the skirt. That's why I say it is good practice to copy paste things. So the bottom of this to this, and the bottom top of this to this again, then the bottom of this to this, and the top of this to this again. Since the bodice is still frozen, I can simulate and see how it's going. Yep, easy peasy. Now I feel that since I made patterns roughly, right, so I feel these patterns are a little short, so the longer patterns can be a little bit longer, so that they can little bit cover the back of the skirt, right? So I can just shift select all these three, and then I can pull it all to, my bad, pull it all together. Yep, little small, little big, whatever, you can suit yourself. Now since I've made the front part of the skirt, let's just put annotation saying front. Like I keep saying, it is good practice to put these indicating texts. Looks good to me so far. Now what I would do is, I'll just copy the entire thing, symmetric pattern with sewing, or I can just paste it. In this, symmetry is not that important because the it's a symmetric garment as it is, right? So we can just copy paste it and see we have another layer of the garment coming. Now I can use Gizmo and I can just take it entirely behind. So imagine how much effort is reduced, and the whole thing about working in CLO is to actually make it faster and easier for yourself. Select all of it, move it. Now all I have to do is sew the sides of the skirts, right? So I can go to this segment sewing tool, select one side, stitch it to the other, select one side, stitch it to the other. Let us simulate then. I guess we are good to go. I hope the skirt does not fall flat on the ground, which happens a lot of times. So the waist belt is not stitched to each other. only the skirt is stitched because the waist belt we had cut earlier, right? So let's just quickly do that as well. Unfreeze front, unfreeze back, and fingers crossed. No, what have we? Okay, the skirt part is still frozen. What else is frozen? Yep, I just unfroze the waist belts. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. So we have quickly been able to get the skirt. It's looking really uh, rough right now because of the particle distance. So let's change the particle distance of the skirt and make it, because ruffles are so folded and there's just so many turns, and it's just very tiny pieces. Especially the thinner pieces are so small that you cannot work with larger particle distance in that. Smaller particle distance, reducing the particle distance does change the way we work in this. It makes it slow. So in this case, what we can do is, in this case we can let the particle distance of the back hidden fabric be 20, while we can change the particle distance of only these patterns. So we can just select these patterns which are visible, and then we can work with particle distance. I'm doing it 5 because my computer can handle it. You guys start slow, do it 10 and then see how it goes, and if it helps, then it'll work out for you. Since I had copied the front and back, I did it only for the front ruffles, and for the back 5 particle distance. For the back it automatically became 5. Yeah, while the skirt still has 20. Okay, so we don't need, back skirt is quite a plain fabric, so we don't need to change the particle distance of that. It is simulating and it is going to take a while. Even with my computer, which has graphics card and stuff, it's going to take a while. So if you have laptops, I would remind you to take it slow with particle distance. But to get the best appearance of very tiny fabrics, it is good to do this. Yeah, it is gonna take its time to settle. Yeah, it look much better, right? So this is how the process of making a ruffled skirt is. If the process was clear and understood, it's a pretty easy pattern for that matter. So if the process is clear and understood, go ahead, make one of your own. Make something else also if you want to. And since I did this and you have seen it, you should be easily able to do it. But if you are not able, if you want to do something challenging, also go for it. If you find any problems, I'll help you. I'm right here. That's what I'm here for. I forgot to tell everybody that you all by default have access to interact.ed's course that's on the website. Since you guys signed up for the course, all the courses available on the website you all have access to. If you want to see how it works, I'll just share my screen and let you see it. While you will have access to these courses for 6 months, and I would suggest that make the most of it. I'll just open my website and I'll show you how it goes. So you have like a web page, you can just type interact.education, and you have a website where I have 4 courses: CLO3D Simplified, Photoshop for Fashion, AI for Fashion, and CLO3D Demo Project. Let's say I open a demo project, and you have, say, pattern making without drawing a pattern is a chapter that you open. It will look like a regular video, but it is not. Once you full screen and play the video, you will realize that a screen is open in front of you and it will ask you to click. It's a video which you have to interact with, which you have to click, only then it will work. So once you click on start, it will start playing. It will ask you to do certain things to make you get easy with the application. Some of these chapters are also showing you concepts. So let's say it's asking you to click on library. So click on library, click on avatar, double click and double click, and you have an avatar. And this is the exact process of doing it in the software as well. Just in case you forget a process of something, then you can come to this website and access the course, and you can memorize yourself how to do it. For example, this particular chapter helps you draw a pattern using 3D pen tool. I taught this chapter in one of the classes earlier. So let's say you have 3D pen tool forgotten and how to work with it. So you can come here, and then it'll ask you to click, and then it'll ask you to do control click for the curved points, right? And then click, and then click. So basically this will, if you're taking the one-on-one classes, it'll help you remember the process. Shift for the straight line. So this is what I told you in the class as well. So if you want to draw a straight line on the avatar, you have to press shift and draw a straight line, and double click to close it. Now you have to flatten it. If you had forgotten how to flatten it, you can click on it and press enter. Unless you press enter, it won't go forward. So yeah, now pattern is created, and it's going to ask you to do things further on. The same way, we have multiple chapters here. So how do you add two fabrics, or how do you do fabric selection, or how do you attach zipper, or how do you change fabric color, and all of these are there in the website for your ease. Right now you're joining a live course is why it is going to help you remember it. But if you were to not join a live course, and if you were to just do this, it might help you get started with the application. And that's what Swati just mentioned. She said that she had done this course earlier. She had taken up a CLO3D simplified course which had 35 chapters, telling you what all you can do to get basic understanding of CLO. Because of that, now after joining late, she's probably has some understanding of how to go about the software. Do this for CLO, do this for Photoshop, do this for AI, and just right now we have only so many courses. There will be more courses added in the future. Till 6 months, whatever courses are going to be added, you will have free access to it as a participant of this cohort. See the skirt right now. See, the skirt has a lot of folds and all. Now, what is particle distance? The concept of particle distance is very interesting. There is something called, when I go to the garment here, I see many ways in which I can see the garment. I can see thick textured, I can see front and back, I can see white color. There is another option of showing wireframe. So when I go to the wireframe and I click it, I actually see that my garment is made out of anything that we do in CLO, even for this person as well, right? We are all made out of, everything here is made out of triangles. Now that is basically deciding how the folds and all happen. So whenever we are making anything that is simulating, the triangles distribute themselves to adjust to the shape. Okay. When I say particle distance less, it means this is how the triangles, when I say less particle, so this has 20 particle distance. If I click on this pattern, you see 20 particle distance. What happens if I reduce the particle distance of the waist belt? Okay, I go here, and if I reduce this particle distance to 10, you see suddenly the distribution of triangles increase, which means the more malleable the garment is, the more triangles it will need. What happens if I make particle distance of this, if I increase the particle distance of a smallest pattern in the group, right? Let me see, let me try make it 20. It has increased. You will see a significant difference in how this falls versus how this falls.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, why is this falling like this is because the triangles have distributed themselves according to 20 particle distance on top. But the triangles are distributed themselves on, and if the pattern is even smaller, like say there are very small patterns, so we can do particle distance 3 and 4 also. But after 5, the computer starts really, so CLO does not recommend below 5. What happens if I increase the particle distance of it even further? let's say I make it 30. See, so basically the appearance drastically changes after that. So it becomes blocky. You see? So this is
Yeah.
a very fundamental concept for you to understand what things are made of here, so that now after this you can very carefully decide where to keep what particle distance. That's why the particle distance of the thing behind I had not bothered, because it does not matter. That can be even larger because it's a flat surface. It does not need too much adjustment, right? For this one I'd make it smaller. Understood the concept, right? So there is this t-shirt which is there in the existing garments. I've taken it. Generally when you'll make it, you'll not have so many baselines and internal lines, so I will delete all the baselines and internal lines for the purpose of not getting you all confused. So right, so let's say I want this t-shirt to convert into a puffer t-shirt. We'll do it as a jacket also in some time. So using the feature that we were using yesterday, which is distribute internal lines between the segments, I will distribute internal lines in this. I could just choose one also, and then I can offset as internal line. I can choose as many internal lines I want, and then I can give the space as much as I want. So I'll give 2.5 distance, and then there are 7 lines, as much as it's needed to cover the whole thing. So there are 10 lines with 2.5 inch space. These will be the points where the jacket starts puffing from. For this also I will select the bottom line and then offset as internal line. I'll give 10 and 2.5 inch. Okay, done. This is done. Once I do this, I'll select both of these, right click on it, and layer clone under. So when you do layer clone under, suddenly you will get another layer which will be cloned, which will be under the top layer. Okay, so and here all the internal lines are stitched to each other. So when you do layer clone, you will see all the internal lines are stitched. So this internal line is stitched to that. So basically this is now starting to make up as a base for what is going to be filled inside. Okay, so now we already have 2 layers and all the internal lines are stitched to each other. I simulate. Now nothing is going to happen. Right now we have 2 layers. Okay, if you see, we have 2 layers, one under the other, and all the lines are stitched. Still it is not going to be filled unless I go and change the pressure. Okay, so I go and select the first. This is the front, and this is the front layer under. I select just these front ones, go to the property editor and find something called as pressure. Here there is a pressure under simulation properties. I can give 15, okay, for just the front. For just the front layer, I did the front and back. One second, I have to undo. Yeah, I have to select these two. Yeah, now I'll go and do the pressure to be 15. Then I will select the layer clone under and I will give the pressure to be minus 15. So basically the pressure on the outside of the fabric, the outside part of the garment will have plus 15 pressure, and whichever I've cloned and made it under will have minus 15 pressure. Once I do that and I simulate, you see, you can start seeing now the puffer effect. I can increase and reduce the pressure to show, to see what kind of puffiness I want. Let's say I have larger pieces, then I will want more pressure. I have smaller pieces, I will be able to do plus 5, minus 5 also. And this is the easiest way to create a puffer jacket. Yeah, you all can try.